A couple years ago, I went to this camp over the summer, and at that camp, it was more like a basketball camp, and I remember I didn't have any friends that went there with me. So when I got there, I could barely speak to anyone, because more than the fact that I didn't have friends, I wasn't able to hold conversation, and I especially wasn't able to start conversation with people I didn't know. And I remember I would just be silent. I had no friends for almost the entire week that I was there. And there was this one point where we're forming teams to play basketball. And I'm on one of those teams and we're talking about strategy, and I have an idea of how we should pass down the court. And I try to say it, but instead I stammer and someone else interrupts. No one even hears what I said. This would happen throughout my life where I tried to say something, but it was like people didn't even notice, or people just ignored me. I never had the magnitude that other people had, that when they spoke, people stopped and listened. I had friends like that, and I always wondered, what was it? What was the difference? And today I want to help you kind of get from where I used to be to where I am now, where I can say something and I feel like people genuinely want to listen. The prerequisite to being a good speaker is to have self-confidence. A lot of people don't understand this, and they try to come up with a bunch of tactics and strategies, but they miss this one thing that affects almost all of your life. It's not even just about speaking. You need to have confidence in yourself. You need to look at yourself and be proud. If you can't do that, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, how can you expect other people are going to listen to you? You can't. If you're always scrolling, if you're always on video games, if you're doing stuff that is dishonorable and that you hide from other people, how can you expect that you will have the self-confidence to go and speak so people will want to listen? When you do things that you are not proud of, you tell yourself, I am not that guy. I'm not the guy that is honorable, that the people want to be around. I'm not that leader. I am this ashamed person. I am a husk of who I was supposed to be. That's what you're telling yourself when you do things that you are not proud of. So if you actually want to replace these things, right, you can't just stop. You can't just say, I'm going to only scroll for 10 minutes. That never works. You have to replace it. And the way that I first did it was working out. I replaced scrolling and being on my phone for working out. And it was the best investment that I ever made. Not only was it so interesting, I started learning about everything that had to do with working out. I also built an attractive physique. And when I looked at myself in the mirror, I could genuinely be confident. People were more receptive to me when I went out and spoke to people. And on top of that, obviously, my health improved. I was actually muscular for the first time instead of skinny fat. That blew up my self-confidence. And that was really the one practice that I can say absolutely transformed me from being the kid who got interrupted or not even listened to, just ignored, to the person that when I speak, people will listen. That is the first practice. If you do not work out, it is time to start working out. And I understand if you don't have all the time in the world. I have friends who spend 3 hours at the gym, right? 30 minutes going there, 22 hours for the workout, 30 minutes coming back. And it's like, I understand how time consuming that is. I would have never been able to do that. And I still can't do that because I'm working on other things now. I have no time to go spend like that. So I developed a way to work out from home. I learned as much as I could about calisthenics, bodyweight exercises, and I pair them with 2 pieces of equipment. They're called gymnastic rings. You can use them from home, you can hit any muscle, and you can build that attractive athletic physique. If you want to learn more about how I do this, check out the first link in the description. The second thing that you can do to increase your self-confidence and take care of yourself is to smell good, right? This seems super obvious. A lot of people don't really care about it and don't really think about it. You want to make sure that you are showering, getting haircuts, shaving, and then always putting deodorant. Some people don't do this. People who watch me, you must, okay? Wear deodorant and then find one fragrance, one cologne that you think works with you. The next thing is your style. So your style basically means how you place your hair, the hairstyle that you have, and also the clothes that you wear. something that I would recommend is just find neutral clothes. So clothes that are not bright colors, clothes like black and gray, navy blue, beige, stuff like that. Just dull, neutral colors, and it will always kind of look good, right? It won't be the magnet of attraction. Everybody won't be looking at you, but you will not look weird, right? You don't want to have big logos on whatever you're wearing. You don't want to have Adidas strapped on your chest. You don't want to be a walking advertisement. It's better to have neutral, calm clothes that work with anything. Now, all of these things, they will help you form that good first impression. Now, first impressions, they're created in like 7 seconds. I can't remember exactly where I heard that, but I know that there's a study, something similar to that a first impression is created in seconds of when you meet someone. So you want to put your best foot forward. You want to look good. You want to have that attractive physique that is actually muscular, and then also smell good and have good style. That will set you up. My next point is, once you have this prerequisite of self-confidence and taking care of yourself and creating that good first impression, you want to learn how to use silence. Now, when I first learned about charisma and, I should go and speak to people, I started doing that all the time. So I went from the person who wouldn't speak to anybody, who would always get ignored, to the person that would always talk, that was always talking, interjecting my opinion. But here's the thing, I still got ignored. Do not swing the other way. Do not just start babbling. Do not just stammer and try to get your noise into the crowd. That's not what you want to do. Instead, use silence. Calm down and think about exactly what do I want to say. What do I want to say, and what is the best way to articulate that thought? Don't make it purposeless. Don't talk about the weather for no reason. Have a direction to what you say. And until you have something to say that is meaningful and impactful, keep your mouth shut. Don't say anything. Use silence, and you get bonus points for actually looking at them in the eye while you're using that silence. Most people will look away while they're trying to find the word. Honestly, most people will look away and they'll start stammering. They'll say, right? Instead, the best thing that you can do, right? Even sometimes I don't do this, but if you can do this, you're the guy. You look at them in the eye and you still don't say anything until you have something to say. That will make people want to listen to you. They will understand that you are not just rambling. You are not just babbling. What you say is important. You speak little, but when you speak, it hits hard. Be that type of guy. The next point I have is to appeal to the other person. You always want to make them feel good. So when you say something, always try to make it an open statement. So instead of just saying yes or no, when you say something, say, yeah, I thought this way. What do you think? Leave the ball on their court. Leave them talking. Ask the questions and have the other people talk about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. Let them talk. Let them speak. You don't even have to do much. You just sit there and watch them, right? And they'll love it. And they'll keep wanting to come and talk to you because you're more like a therapist. They like to speak. Be that type of person for them. And also, don't try to prove other people wrong. When you're in any conversation, don't ever come in with the mindset, I'm trying to prove this guy wrong. His beliefs are wrong. You always want to ask them questions so that they arrive at the same truth that you had in the first place. Instead of saying, think this way, ask them the questions that will get them to start thinking in that way. Those two things will get people wanting to speak to you and liking you. And another thing that I like to do is when I really feel like people are interrupting, I'll say, do you mind if I share my opinion? Do you mind if I give my response? Do you mind if I say something? And they'll be like, oh yeah, for sure. But when they say, oh yeah, for sure, they're not saying, oh yeah, you can say it. They're saying, yeah, I will listen. That's what they're saying, yeah, for sure to. So now they will actually be quiet when you say something, right? Ask for that permission because they'll always give it. But really what they're giving permission to is them being quiet. And now what you say can actually be heard. They will wait for your whole response. Ask, hey, do you mind if I give my opinion? They'll obviously say yes. And finally, to make the conversation a little bit more interesting, to become more of a speaker, a presenter, you want to have different speeds in your voice. You don't always want to talk in the same speed. It's a monotone voice. I don't know what I'm saying, right? You don't want to have that same speed voice. You want to change the speed of your voice based on if you're saying something that is important or something that is less important. Things that are less important, you can go ahead and speak faster. You can go rapidly. It doesn't matter. But when you want to say something important, you slow down and you use pauses. Also, at the end of all of your sentences, make sure that you end on a low note. Don't talk like this, talk like this. End on a lower note. With that, you'll find that it's much easier to speak and have people want to listen to you. Again, if you want to learn how to build that self-confidence for yourself, which is the prerequisite, you cannot use any of these strategies until you have that self-confidence. Check out the first link in the description. It will take you to a place where you can learn about how to work out from home and not waste any of your time. With that, I hope that you got something from this video, and I hope that you go out and conquer.